he carried on, and he used to know all these people, and he said that my father was the smartest man in Plumstead when he had his military uniform on, which he did every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. My dad used to have band engagements, and Mum used to take Grace and me very often up to London or wherever it was on the bus, and we'd see him, and when they had their half time, Dad would come over with a man called Mr. Bert Woolett, and I remember him very, very well. He had a motorcycle and sidecar, and Dad and he, my dad and he, of course were youngish men, I suppose in their 40s, and they used to take Dad and his drums and all the rest of the equipment in his sidecar, and Dad as well, Mr. Woolett and Dad, and they go up to London. They used to play a lot at Kensington Palace, and all the big places. They weren't cheap sort of bandsmen. They used to play at good places like the zoo. The zoo was a big attraction, of course. You'd get crowds at the zoo every week, and Kensington and Buckingham Palace along the Mall. You get crowds of people up there, wouldn't you, every week? And Dad used to look very, very smart in his uniform, and I'm only sorry that I haven't got more pictures of him in full dress uniform, because he did look smart when I was a child. And I can always remember my dad polishing up all his uniform, all the belts and things that had to have polish on them, and he'd sit at the kitchen table there polishing it all every week. And I never saw him at weekends, really. He was off with the band every weekend in the summer, but it was a very good military band. Mr. Woolett, Mr. Mac Burns was the bandmaster, and Dad's used to say he wouldn't know a something from a bull's foot. Now, what was it he used to say? Dad used to take him off. He said he didn't know one. He doesn't know what a crotchet or a craver is. He's the bandmaster, but he's no idea of music, really, Dad used to say. My dad was very naughty like that, talking about people. You're like him, actually. You're very much like him. And Dad used to say he wouldn't know something from a bull's. He wouldn't know a crotchet from a bull's foot. And then when I had to learn music when I was about 7, as you started, I used to have a lady called Miss Scudder, who used to come and teach me music, and she, poor soul, was very, very lame, and she couldn't walk very well. She walked as I do now, with a stick, poor thing. She came right across the common up to our house to teach me music. She charged, I think, £13 a term, which was quite a lot of money, I suppose, in those days. And anyway, Dad used to, why he came into contact with Mr. Woolett was because he worked in the arsenal, of course. Everybody worked in the arsenal. I was saying this to Mary yesterday. She said, where did they all work? Because her granddad worked in the arsenal. I said, well, nearly every man worked in the arsenal in some form or another. Maybe in the office, or maybe in practical work like you do, and all sorts of things. Anyway, everybody's father nearly worked in the arsenal. If they didn't, well, they were very posh, like perhaps their father was a bank manager or something like that. I don't think we had any bank managers amongst my dad's friends, no. Didn't have bank managers. They had bank cleaners, perhaps, more like. However, there we were. But we never saw my dad really at weekends. I didn't anyway, not in the summer. He was always out with the band. But it was a good band, absolutely. And Dad was very, very particular about his uniform, polishing it all up. See him now, polishing up all the buttons and everything. Yes, he was absolutely perfect.
So come on in, we go out in the garden.
Of course, he had good training in the Duke of York's military school. He went in there from about the age of 2, I think, because he was an orphan. Well, they called it an orphan if you'd lost your father. And his father had been in the Coldstreams. So Dad wanted to go in the Coldstream Guards too, but his mother wouldn't sign the papers when it was time, so he didn't go. So he was bitterly disappointed, he used to say about that. He wanted to go in the Coldstream Guards, but his mother wouldn't sign the papers. So he didn't. Instead of that, he went to the Duke of York's military school. So I think, well, today that is a public school, I believe.
I bet it's very smart.
Yeah, anyway, Dad had very good training there. Now we're going to eat that present. It shouldn't be in the sun.
Well, the sun's only just come out, Mum.
Put it on the table here, out of the sun. That's lovely, thank you very much. Stilton, that's expensive. Stilton is. No, but Dad used to tell such tales. He used to do all this at Christmas time and keep all the family amused. There'd be all of his sister, Aunt Flo. She had about 4 children who were all quite academic. Arthur was the science master at the local grammar school, the eldest one, and Dad used to think a lot of him. In fact, he bought him a very nice little sailor's uniform outfit. I've got a picture of it when Arthur was quite a small, but of course this was 20 years before I was born, you see. My father, as I say, they didn't have me till I was 40, they were 40 odd, so Dad was quite old by that time. But I do remember him, of course. We used to go up when he was in full dress uniform. He did look very smart, I must say. But he was very much like you. Ian always used to say, Ian's just like your father.
I think you just need to stick to you.
I don't want that, I use that one now.
Okay, come on in.
I know, I'm coming on as quick as I can, Ian.
Come on, chop chop.
I'm not as good as I was though, am I, walking?
Yeah, you're right.
No, I'm not, you know.
Just hang on to things.
Don't think so. I don't think so. Dorothy says, yes you are, you're all right.
There you go.
Yes, now where you're putting that, you see that? It will slip off there. That's right, I'm very careful with this. I come out, I creep out here, and I have to hold on here. I think I must not fall. Something I must not do is fall over. Right, put those on there. Well, I don't need them, do I? Not out here. There. That's better. And I come along.
There you go.
Performance here, but this is easy enough actually, this little bit up to the garage. I'm glad Dad had all this done before a year or two ago before he died, but he had all this done properly because it was a rough path, wasn't it?
It was difficult.
So that was nice. And Tony hasn't cut all those roses right back, but I suppose he knows what he's doing. But he keeps it nicely out here, doesn't he?
Very nice.
Grass, beautiful. You'll fall backwards in a minute. No, I come up here, I do walk up
I'm
here.
going to go over and have a look at the peony.
That's over there, that's up there.
Go on in. Go on the grass.
I know, but I've got to get to that corner.
Alright, okay.
Otherwise I've got to right turn here, haven't
Okay.
I? On that corner, it's not so bad. You're going to fall down there.
It's alright.
That's it. I don't know whether I really want this bird bath now. Do you want it? You don't want it, do you?
No, no, you keep it here.
Well, I don't really want it. It's a bit in the way. This is a little bit... Oh,
That's alright.
so I come down onto this
Right, you go over and have a look at the peony.
soft